What we created with this concept was the possibility of producing food locally all year round. As you can see here now, it's winter in Denmark, so the temperature has been very, very low, and we got down to minus 10 degrees. But containers are still going, the microgreens are still growing, and it's going as good as it can, because we can basically do a controlled environmental agriculture all year round in all climates. So that's one of the good things about vertical farming. So currently we are in Denmark, it's minus 7.5 degrees, and our herbs are growing as good as they ever were. Even though it's snowing outside and it's white and it's full of snow, we still are able to produce these products, and we are still able to grow microgreens. Even though that it's December, the radish still looks like it's the middle of summer. So yeah, this is one of the good things about growing on vertical farms, that we can really produce this product all year round, and the quality is almost better in the winter time than it is in the summertime, because it's a bit easier to control all the values we have to control to make sure that it's growing how it should. Yeah, so we are doing microgreens, we're doing a lot of different varieties of microgreens, we're doing some varieties of herbs, and then in the back of the facility we took all the hot, humid air we take from this room, we pull it out of the room and put it into, we have 11 shipping containers in the back, so we put all the hot and humid air in here. We are directing it to the containers, because the containers, they're insulated and they can keep the temperature up. So we can basically grow microgreens, we can grow mushrooms, we can grow mushrooms out in the snow without being able to put in any money in heating up the mushroom containers. So the mushroom containers gets the excess hot air and humid air from here that they love, that's filled with oxygen for them. They're ready to give them a good climate, and after the air hits outside, it goes into the containers, and in those containers we have built so that the mushrooms can maintain a certain amount of temperature to increase the growth rate, but also make sure that it can really actually become a successful grow operation that we don't have to spend a lot of energy on maintaining. We started growing oyster mushrooms, and we've been growing oyster mushrooms for the last 2 years. We have been testing it for 3 years. We recently, a year ago, just got to the point where now we can make a profitable model with it. So this is what we have done. And now we got to a point where we wanted to do a lot of new species, so we tested some new oyster strains. We tested Piupino, Nameko, we tested turkey tail, reishi, a lot of different mushrooms, just to figure out if we could grow something and that could make sense for us. We started doing lion's mane, and that has been very challenging. So doing lion's mane has been very challenging for us. We're gonna focus on the oysters, the Piupino, probably also gonna grow some more tests of the reishi. But that's basically it. We are thinking about the pink oyster as well. So the pink oyster will be a great addition to the concept that we have with the fridges, that we go and we fill up new mushroom bags each week. And each week the fridges will be filled with new bags, so the hotels or the customer, they can show their guests that the mushrooms have been grown locally on the facility. Yeah, so we started growing 5 years ago. We started in our living room in a small setup. We still have the original rack. From our living room we expanded into a small room of 10 square meters. Then we expanded to 20 square meters, and from there we expanded to 150 square meters. And 2.5 years ago we got to this facility and started growing this. So if you saw some of the older videos, you can see the whole journey that we've been on. We started making videos 1.5 years ago, and if you want to see the journey we've been on, then start on the channel on the oldest videos, and then go from the oldest videos until the newest videos. Then you will see the whole process we've been on, and you will learn a lot of things on this road as well. Probably if you are going on a journey like this, you can derive a lot of value from this, because we did a lot of mistakes, and if you can avoid doing all those mistakes, then that could be very, very helpful, because some of the things we've done was not good, and that almost ruined our company. We got partners in different places in Denmark, and we strongly advised one of our partners to not do something. He chose to do it anyway, and then he went bankrupt because of that reason. So we would like to be able to maintain that we do things the right way, because if we don't do things in the right way with this system, then it simply doesn't work. So that has been a lot of learning experiences from our side, and we are keep on learning, keep on expanding, because this is only the beginning. This is only the beginning of what we are able to produce, and hopefully we can do this together. Yeah, so we're working on some really interesting new projects in our facility. Yeah, so if you hang around until the end of this video, I'm gonna show you what we are working on that is the next new thing. So now we've shown you something from the productions, we've shown you some of the concepts that we're working by, and now we are in the container. This container is filled with mushrooms, and we're gonna do some harvesting. So we're gonna show you how the process works and how we're doing it. It works by we're taking a box and then putting some food paper on it. I don't know what you call it in English. Then we just take the mushrooms from the back here, and then we just twist it and get as little of the straw as possible with it. So then we try to place it real nice so it looks good for the customer. This is some exotic mushrooms that are a bit difficult to get in Denmark. Locally you can get them, but they're usually from Poland or the Netherlands. So this is a nice choice for the Danish chefs and the restaurants we're working with. They like that it's locally produced, and we are using a lot of renewable resources to power it up. So this is what makes it really interesting for them to work with us as well. Yeah, so as you can see, we don't get much more than a few 100 grams of some of the bags, but it's still worth it. You know, we made the process of making the bags, inoculating them with the mushrooms, and we spend a lot of energy on making the bags. So if we only use them once, that's not a good way to use this resource. So it makes sense for us to keep them a little longer inside the grow room and then make sure that we can get a second flush. So we got into the second container now, and we are doing harvesting on. This is some of the first flushes, and they have some nice weight on them. So usually with these bags, we remade the bags a bit, so now we're only getting about half a kilo on the first flush. But for us it makes a bit more sense. So here we have a box. This should be 2 kilos, 4 bags. Here we have some lion's mane growing. This is actually I think it's the 3rd flush. Some of the bags still were successful, and we still managed to get a bit more out of it. But these are very, very airy, so they're very fluffy. They're not as dense as the first flush, but still nice. There's still some weight on it, and we can get a little out of this as well. So that's good. So if you look at the size of the bags and then the size of the harvest, this is a very, very nice yield. This is a good, dense quality. We have a nice weight on it. So the species of oyster we are growing is called the spoppo. So this oyster mushroom species is a species that doesn't sporulate that much, because when it gets to this point, it starts spreading its spores. And this is genetics that doesn't spread that many spores, so it's very nice to work with. You can keep the hygiene very high in a container like this, growing spoppo. This is from Sylvan. We are growing this for a long time. We're thinking about it, changing it, but this has been very nice to work with because there's not a lot of maintenance in it. In this container, the first harvest we got after about 10 days from taking the bags and opening them up, but some bags are not as fast as others. We're getting, some of them are just pinning now, some haven't even pinned, so it's still a balance to figure out how to get them to pin at exactly the same time, all of them at once. And that can be a bit difficult. But we managed to get to a point now where most of it is pinning very, very beautifully. So I promised you some value for you in the end of the video, and there is two things that I want to give you a little sneak peek on. So in one of the other videos I told you that we are doing a little secret project in one of the small containers. So I'm gonna lift a little about what we're gonna do there. What we are doing is we are expanding the capabilities of scaling a mushroom production inside this container. And how are we doing this? We are doing it by making it into one huge steamer. So instead of having the old little steamer that you saw in the masterclass, we're going to make a huge new steamer that's going to be able to take 6 carts at a time. So we are going to be able to, expand and scale the capabilities by 300%. So very, very interesting. Another project we are doing is something I'm not going to tell you all about it, but it's going to be something that is going to be very valuable for you if you are in the process of building your own farm, or you already have your own farm and you maybe want to grow it to the next level. We're working on some really interesting. If you want to know more about this and if you want to sign up on our newsletter, then go down to the description and find the Microgreens Denmark website and get in contact with us.